Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, this is Gary again for Bizarre Brain Comics. Welcome. Hi. A little sip of the tea. Okay. This is where I like to talk about old comics and break down the stories and art. This time, we're talking about Marvel Superheroes number 29. This is double feature special. It's a larger one from 1971, and in this book features Iron Man and Daredevil. Well, we're not going to talk about Iron Man, at least not this time. We're going to talk about Daredevil. And of course, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen, who has a very strong and agile, normal human strength and agility, but just like might say like an Olympic gymnast type agility. But his advantage is that he has a radar sense, allowing him to see, not with his eyes, but with this radar sense, and he can see better than a person can with his eyes. Okay, and this issue, so it's scripted by Stan Lee, layouts are by Wally Wood, finished pencils are by Bobby Powell, who I know nothing about, and then it was inked by Wally Wood. So it was basically a Wally Wood production. And we've talked about Wally Wood before when we did the Thunder Agents. Of course, Wally Wood came to notoriety in the early 50s with the EC comics, the horror and science fiction stuff there, and Mad contributed with Mad magazine for Mad Comics for several years. And what it says here, Wally Wood did the layouts. What that means is that he did the page layout, the panels, and did some very, very loose, unfinished pencils to indicate the figures and the rough backgrounds and stuff like that to tell the story. And then this guy, Bobby Powell, who I don't know, Bob Powell. I don't know anything about him. He's unknown to me. Which meant then he went back and went over the Wally Wood's loose pencils and did the finished pencils. So they're basically Wally Wood pencils with someone else on there. Someone else's little influence. The whole thing looks just like Wally Wood's, as if he'd done the whole thing. Because then he went back and then did the inks. So if there's anything in there that he didn't think that Bob Powell did right, Wally Wood corrected it. And Wally Wood's inking style is strong enough to, to make almost any other penciler's work look like his. And of course, Wally Wood was well known for his beautiful and sexy female figures, which this story has almost none. I think there's just one female character in the story, and she's only in a few panels, maybe another. Anyway, so that's about all. No big book of knowledge this time. We just want to get right into it here and take a look at Daredevil For Marvel Superheroes number 29, 1971. Okay. Marvel Superheroes number 29, 1971. Iron Man and Daredevil. Double feature special. And here's the illo for Daredevil. I have a correction for Iron Man in here. If you hear some sound here in the background, it's because the dryer is going in the room next door. I had expected it to be done before I got started on this, but no such luck. Here we go. That he may see, Daredevil, featuring the murderous menace of the Killer's Castle. Okay, it's got a fold here that I can't get out of the page here in the splash page. This is reprinted from an earlier Daredevil issue from the earlier in the 60s. I don't know which one it was because it doesn't identify it. But this is when obviously Wally Wood was doing most of the artwork, or virtually all of the artwork, and probably a lot of the writing. That's one. I guess that was one of the things he didn't like, because he wasn't getting billing. Anyway, so I would bet that this is probably a Wally Wood plot with Stan Lee doing the scripts. And here he is swinging underneath a bridge here in New York City, and see somebody's involved in trying to catch some crooks here. Swinging down, and he's just whacking them right and left. And as I've said before when I'm talking about Wally Wood, he is a master of visual storytelling. So you can just really see what's going on very, very easily. But here he is. He got one of the gangsters here got a lucky shot and just lightly winged him, and he falls in the water. But he delayed him enough that the Coast Guard was able to catch him. So he has to swim back to shore, or someplace where it's safe, and then staggers back to his own apartment, does a little bit of first aid. As you can clearly see in all of this, his great use of blacks and positioning of the blacks. One thing I wanted to mention here is that Wally Wood is the artist who put the DD on Daredevil's chest and gave him the solid red costume instead of the red and yellow that he had originally had. It looks much better. Okay, and then here he is the next day, walking into the office and meeting up with Karen Page, who is the legal secretary, and she helps him back. Doesn't help him, but walks with him to their office, where Foggy is already there doing a little bit of golfing. And a lot of thought balloons. Everyone's got, oh, I'm sure it's his blindness that makes him so cold, so distant. And, Foggy, what are you doing? The old son of a gun, I can sense him holding a golf club. Just straightening things up a bit, Matt. That has a lot of Stan Lee sounding dialogue and thoughts. And I noticed in this story that Daredevil is a little bit freer with humorous quips, making him sound a little bit more like Spider-Man, which doesn't seem to go so much with Daredevil. And here is this thing is Page. Karen Page had a little bit of a surprise. Said she had a little bit of a surprise for him. And then you see in this Foggy reads him this bit from the newspaper. So this Klaus Kruger, hereditary ruler of the tiny principality of Lichtenbad, arrived in New York today, blah, blah, blah. And then here he arrives right in the office. Turns out he was a classmate of both Foggy and Matt in college years before. And here flashback in Matt's mind's eye. He was this guy Klaus was I guess he was good at speaking, good with science, and an all-star athlete. So he's no slouch. And he says here, this eye doctor has come to live in my country, and we want you to come, and he may be able to, has a new surgery, he may be able to restore your eyesight. And Matt's not too thrilled with it. He's concerned that might affect his radar sense. But he doesn't know. He plays along with it. And he notices here, you can see this zit, zit, zit across here. It's an indicator that Matt is hearing his heartbeat. And he says, he's lying about something. So he decides to go along with it. So here they are the next day, taking off. And here they are landing. And there's looks like a little medieval castle with this it's a walled city. And that beep, beep, beep is the dryer finishing. It's about time. Walled castle, and there's a relatively convincing looking, fictitious looking aircraft. Looks like it's even got Kruger flaps, which kind of goes with the character's name, Kruger. This is a German type country, little tiny country here, and here they are getting off the airplane, and someone crunches in, tries to assassinate Kruger, blam, and he takes the guy down himself. Then the guards beat him into submission. Turns out he had a bulletproof vest. They get in the car and take him into the city, and Matt's senses are telling him something's not right here. All the people are frightened, and it says something about the thing that's a slave state. And here he meets the doctor, and he notices the doctor's all keyed up too. Doctor looks at him, takes some X-rays, and says, "Well, we'll find out tomorrow whether you're a good candidate for the operation." See, that's a really nice montage image right there. Because while he's there, he's thinking that he's overhearing a bunch of stuff from all over. It says, "We must revolt. Be brave. Wait for the signal. It's death to defy the Duke." So he's really suspicious. So here he is as Daredevil. He's going out into the city, looking around, and he comes across these people here, and he's overhearing them. "We can delay no longer. Our people suffer more each day." So they're planning a revolt, and then the guards burst in and go, "This is kind of silly. Look, and the guards look like medieval knights in armor and stuff." Well, actually, they are robots. All the guards are robots because this guy doesn't trust anybody. And here they are rounding everybody up. The palace guards, they're not men, they're robots. Nothing can harm them or stop them. And he's still hampered by the injury to his arm. So he's having to do everything one-handed. Now here's the panel that I really wanted to show you. This is where Wally Wood's master storytelling bit really comes through. And this image right here. In this panel, and it's a surprisingly small panel, kind of long and narrow. You see at the top, of course, it's got the caption, and you look down, and you can see the castle walls. The portcullis is raised, and the drawbridge is going down. You can see a bunch of guards on the other side, and the drawbridge is coming down here. And down here, you see the robot guards with all the prisoners that they've just taken. And then here, hiding behind this wall, is Daredevil, keeping out of sight. And it's just an amazing bit. This just really strikes me. An amazing bit of visual storytelling in this one panel. All this information and the beautiful draftsmanship, and even sharks in the moat. Of course, I don't think he could keep sharks in a moat, but that's just for the story. But look at that. Just take a good look at that. That is master storytelling craftsmanship. So he leaps as the drawbridge is going up. He gets into the castle, leaps up there, and he's looking around. Now this is another great shot here. Here's Daredevil standing in this room, and he's using his radar sense. And also, this is another thing that Wally Wood innovated. This concentric circles indicating his radar sense like this. And then you see the ghost images. He is able to perceive what's going on elsewhere in this castle. You can see right through the walls, through the floor. You can see the dungeon down below, some of the machinery. And then he's discovered. Whoop! Come forward, intruder, let me look at you. It is only fitting I learn the identity of any I am about to throw into my dungeon. And it's his friend, the Duke. So the Duke, obviously, does not know that Matt is Daredevil. In fact, apparently he doesn't even recognize the Daredevil costume. So he's not that well known in these circles. And here come the robots, come to get him, and he starts doing his thing, using his agility and his, what he calls his billy club. I would call it a nightstick, but it's actually a disguised version of his blind man's cane. Again, the great visual storytelling, and he uses his thing to pop a little gas pellet to knock out the Duke. Well, it doesn't hit him. There's an electronic shield, a force field around the dictator, and then this robot who's already been knocked down still gets his licks in, hitting Daredevil in his injured arm with a mace. Gives him enough time, opportunity for the other guards to take him down. And the portrayal of this armor, even though they're robots, is done beautifully. I just love it. And here he is in the dungeon, and of course he's monologuing and saying, with each passing day, I grow stronger, as the best brains in all the world come here to serve me. So that eye doctor is here to against his will to serve him, and you can bet Matt Murdock, he's planning on having Matt Murdock and who knows all else there to eventually not let him go home and work for him exclusively. And he's got his own little bit of dreams of conquest. And this guy, when I was reading this, I was just thinking, this guy is he's just Dr. Doom light. He's a lot like Dr. Doom, but he's just not as much. So when he leaves, Daredevil here gets it. Well, they got the other prisoners here in this dungeon. He's able to get up this pole that he's chained to and get over, and then because he's so strong and agile, he just flips, gets the chain around in front of him, and he takes to the ceiling up here. And then says, I hear a guard outside. Shout for him. Hurry. Guard, help. So, then we got a couple of ads. There's the guard. Comes in and he takes out that robot guard and releases the prisoners. And there they are. They get out. And he's leading them through the castle. And he's pounding on the wall here at these places. And this one guy is kind of heckling them. Why do you pause on the stair that way? I thought it was a bus stop. See the Spider-Man type quips. And now you waste time striking the wall. Well, there's a secret passage behind there. He knew there was one here because there's a census. And then here's the controls. And he's breaks through the controls, short the circuitry, lower the drawbridge, so on. Now move, get everyone out of there. And there they are scampering out. And then the guards come. So he takes on the guards by himself. And he manages to get out of there, gets back to his own quarters, changes back to Matt Murdock. In the morning here, the doctor comes in and says, Mr. Murdock, I have results of your x-rays. I would like to talk to you about your blindness. What's the verdict, Doc? And then I'll switch back to New York, and she's just mooning over and pining for Matt. Karen Page is, while Foggy here he's upset because he's despising himself because he is in love with Karen Page, but he says she just doesn't see me. All she thinks of is Matt, and he's upset with himself. He smashes his mirror and is upset with himself because a certain part of him wishes Matt would not return, and that's not. See, and that's why he feels, because he's a good man. It's those kind of things, it's easy for those thoughts to creep in without really being your wishes. And that's all for that part. And here he is, as they find him, they're talking. You ready to examine me, Doc? And he says, why this routine again? And lower your voice, and they're trying to talk. But the microphone picked up their talking. And he rushes in because he was telling him was telling Matt that he was a prisoner here too. The guards come in. Kruger's Inhuman Guards. They take the doctor away, leaving Murdoch there. So he changes into back into Daredevil, and seeing the revolt going on out there in the courtyard. Look at all those figures. All this. Oh, it's great storytelling. All these great figures. Little tiny figures. Almost can't even focus on them. While Daredevil swings into action. And people are shooting the guards, but it doesn't do any good because they're robots. And they try some explosives. Well, they're not strong enough to even knock them down. So he tries something else. He's got to go after the Duke. So he gets out and goes after the Duke to his control center because he's all by with all guards there fighting in that melee. He's all by himself. This is some great action scenes here with Daredevil swinging into action. Great and nice, dynamic, beautiful figures. And again, look at the great blacks, solid blacks. There he is, confronting the Duke. As he challenges him, takes him on. Up. He's too big. The peasant, you are hopelessly outclassed by the greatest hand-to-hand fighter in Europe. And he comes at him with a sword. But Daredevil, he is great at. He's so agile. He's able to keep away, and gets to the throne and clicks the controls, which turns on the shield, the force field shield. So he's shielded, and it shatters the sword, the Kruger's sword. Now he takes it off, shuts it off, and now they're going at it again. Some great fighting scenes, really great. With that Morning Star against his club, and he winds the chain around his club and pulls it out of his hand, knocks him down, and he sets the reactor in the building. We didn't know he had a reactor, but he had a reactor of some kind. The cobalt, and it was set it so it will explode. The eye doctor realizes this because he was right outside where they were fighting. Sees that the reactor is going on, so he's in a position to shut it down. But in the process, he's exposed to a fatal amount of radiation. Look, just the coloring was great here in helping to convey the story, as well as the nice blacks and nice. Look at that. He's there he has got the switch, pulling the switches down. He's getting weakened from the radiation. It's done. The rods are disconnecting, but the radiation so intense, so agonizing. The world may never know, Daredevil, but you and I, we saved mankind. And because it was going to explode, it would have left a radioactive cloud going across Europe. So, meanwhile, Daredevil is still taking after Kruger. Here's a great shot here. I like this between the legs shot, so that you can see both antagonists in that one shot. That was great. Kruger dives at Daredevil, and Daredevil avoids him and over the side into the drink. Ah! And that's the end of Dr. Doom Light. And here Daredevil discovers that the eye doctor has died, and he sent a telegram saying he's coming back. He'll be back soon, and sent a telegram. No operation. The doctor has died, and then here is how Foggy said, "How I hate myself for speaking about my partner and my best friend like that. And yet, if not for Matt, I'm sure Karen would be mine." More action next issue. And that's the end of Daredevil. Here's some nice artwork on this, and it's a Daredevil special, but it's not Daredevil. It's a nice little story. These are some here. These are the kind of, this is just reprints for filler from the from some of their horror slash monster comics. And here we come to Iron Man story. And I'm not familiar with this artist either. Adam Austin. Okay. And it looks, but the work looks a little like Gene Colan's. But that's that. That was nice and fun, fast-paced adventure. I think it was fairly well plotted. It's not unique by any means, but it was good. It's some great art. You can often tell. They'll often say, because the story is the thing, which is true in a comic story. So the story is the thing. But I tell you, some good art can save a bad story. And a bad story can ruin good art. Well, that's all I've got for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, share it with your comic book friends. And remember, comics are art.